between public and private. John Wanyonyi, Principal, Kitengela International Junior School, and Elphas Omunandi Chisienye, Administrator and Curriculum Development Expert from the Kitengela International Schools. They are our guests this morning.
When we talk about the gap between public and private schools in the country, what is the gap?
Firstly, the glaring gap is the population of school-going children against the available public schools.
Okay.
It's overwhelming. So the private schools come in to bridge that gap, to offer quality education to the many students who might not be able to reach that public school that is overcrowded. So we bridge in and come in to partner with the government to offer an alternative.
Yeah.
So that we don't have everybody going to crowded in a public school.
So in an area where within a 15-kilometer radius, for example, whereby there should be a certain number of public schools, what we're saying is that that number doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
And in order to take care of the children within that community, at least to make sure that they're in school, that's where we see now the introduction of private schools to say, okay, this cannot continue because there will be too many children out of school because they cannot all access one public school.
Yes.
Okay.
The second gap, as you mentioned earlier before we went for a break, that we have got those first-tier schools which perform very well and they offer quality education. They offer quality opportunities. Now, the private schools also come in to offer the best quality education that many parents would want to give their children, so that we help in increasing the number of best schools in the country. So, and when we do that, we do not necessarily compete the existing schools, but we collaborate and work towards the same goal. Then the third gap that private schools come to fill is now going an extra mile in creating opportunities for the school-going children to be able to explore other disciplines beyond classroom, so that they can be able to engage. Because we look at the CBC, the main objective is to bring up an ethical and engaged child who can be able to be all round, to call it a holistic education. So if you look at the public schools in many regions, they might not be able to access the international space. Now, the private schools like Kitengela International School will give the parents an opportunity for the children to explore the world, to be able to engage with other countries and see how things happen, compete, to realize they are also equal to the task. So if they hear about Finland succeeding in CBC, it's not just it's history, the way you kept learning in all those old days. Yeah. You are just told there is a town somewhere. Now, in private schools, we are able to give them an opportunity to interact and collaborate and have a discussion, have challenges and competitions with those students across the world from those other countries they hear of.
Yeah. How are you able to do that?
Yeah, because we are able to participate in international programs and activities. Like now, for example, the recent one is the World Scholars Cup, where we have got great debaters and scholarly writings. So we have students who came from all over the world, Kitengela International being one of them, taking a group of 30 students to compete at the global rounds in Bangkok, Thailand. From there, they succeeded. They've proceeded all the way to the United States of America for the Tournament of Champions. So they are able to meet other counterparts from different schools. And I can tell you for sure, even in the United States, we had public schools. However, they were secondary schools, but at least I was able to interact with a number of 3-4 schools from the public.
There's some kids from Kitengela who went to America for the...
Yes. We had 30 students who qualified for the Tournament of Champions, and they went to participate. They just came in. They came back yesterday.
How did they do?
Yeah, most of them won the gold medals.
Hey.
They are competitive. Yeah, they are very bright.
So why are public schools not able to do this?
Scarcity of resources.
Which?
When it comes to public schools, the government has the mandate of providing the basic education. So when it comes to those extras, it will now call for the parent to chip in to be able to finance and facilitate.
Isn't it the same case for private? I mean, I don't assume that the owner of a private school is the one who's paying out of their pocket for children to go to Bangkok.
And that's why I've mentioned few public schools were there. That means the few who can afford are able to do that. But not all of them can afford.
Why do you think that government, and I think this is for both of you, we must not run away from the reality that it is not a favor that government does in providing education. Sure. They are mandated to provide the system and all the fill-ins that would then ensure that education is delivered to the nation's children. It's their job.
Yes.
Right? Why do you think then that it is not possible? Because that's the reality, that it is then not possible for that mandate to be fulfilled in its entirety. We have places where it's fulfilled, it's done well. If you have a very good school head, for example, you'll find that that particular school, whether there are government challenges with moving money or curriculum challenges, by and large, the school is going to get ahead. We have many examples of those, and they're in the public system. And we have a budget, largest budget item is education.
Yes.
And still we say that there are still gaps. And I'm going to compare it to Rwanda, and please don't tell me I shouldn't, because it's the principle that matters, not the size of country. It is the principle, where in Rwanda, as of 2023, we saw private schools shutting down. Why? Because the public system became so efficient that people removed their children from private school and put them back into the public system. And so private business owners said, you know what? We cannot survive anymore. Why would we? What is it? A lack of resources? Is it a lack of discipline? What is it that would say that you can turn around something in 5 short years, but then here where you have a big ticket budget item, but we're still not able to deliver so much, so that private schools have to come and fill in? Why is that?
Okay, to come in on that one, first of all, we'll check on the processes or the processes of that the government go through, or the people are involved in ensuring that these resources come on top and trickle down without wastage up to the last person. And you will notice that there is a lot of a little bit discrepancies or the issues that come up with the processes, procurement. Everybody will feel I should eat or take something from here, and need pass the next one to this one. This one will take half of it, and at the moment it reaches that teacher, that facilitator in class, in one way or another, that resource is depleted and it's not useful anymore. So you will check that. Apart from that, the government should also, I will say, they are trying in many cases on retooling, that what we call training of the current staff, where things used to be done maybe in an analog way, and now retool these administrators or facilitators with the current skills or the modern 21st century skills, to ensure that they know how to utilize resources digitally in the digital world. So you'll find there is a gap there in terms of knowledge or how to utilize the resources, and also set priorities. So if priorities are not set right, like in most institutions in Kenya, you find that school is not performing, and there is complaints all over. So you notice that principle, who is ready to come up with the 21st century skills and initiate and train the staff, those schools are definitely performing. And I can quote one. There's a school called Utumishi along Emali. That school is like, if you get there, you think it's a private school. And it is because of management and administration.
Yes.
Yeah. Therefore, if the government will really work on integrity and training of the and selection of principals and officials of schools or education sector that are authentic, we are headed places as a country. Yeah.
It is strange in that we talk of Rwanda and what they've done, and yet in an earlier time, now I'm speaking of a time when I was a student, the schools of choice were public schools. There were private schools, but there were really very few.
Very few, sure.
Very, very few. The United States that you went to, you will compare that. If you look at statistics in 2023, there are 49 million students in public schools and just 4 million in private. I mean, the public schools, and even if you look at in terms of facilities, in terms of what the public schools have, the public schools in many instances are a school of choice.
Yes.
People prefer to go to the public schools. Now, in our case here, the option for private schools is because there is a feeling, and it keeps growing, that the public schools, despite their best efforts, cannot offer the sort of education that parents would like.
And that those that would are already full to the brim.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the parents vote with their feet because, and that is why a school like Kitengela International is what it is, because parents are voting with their feet. They look and they look, what do I want for my child? They figure, because there are public schools near where your schools are at.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe just to paint a different picture to that knowledge is, one of the reasons why I think the government is getting a lot of pressure not up to the task. I think basically, apart from misplaced priorities and maybe some leadership gaps, the pressure of population, the way it has been growing in Kenya, it is like overwhelming the government, because the number of school-going children increases exponentially every coming year.
Is it something that the government suddenly finds has surprised them in the morning?
It's not a shock.
Or is it something that they can see is happening before their very eyes?
You have entire planning departments who give you these statistics on a rolling basis, and one would assume that it is that information that you then use to make a decision. One would assume, I could be wrong, but one would think that because you have departments like that, you take the information that they give you
and you use it.
Where
are you going with this?
Sorry?
Where are you going with this? So let's continue. So the government is overwhelmed.
It's overwhelmed
by the numbers.
Right. But now, the way you are putting it, I was almost heading there.
Okay, please, I'm sorry.
Consistency. Consistency in any regime matters a lot.
Okay.
In Kenya, we lack consistency. Because every day we get a policy maker in a docket that concerns education. They come with their mindset. And remember, KICD and NEC and any other party involved in making policies that design the curriculum and implementation, for them, they will do their work. They will wait for funding.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? As they wait for funding, if they are not funded, what happens?
Their work moves nowhere.
Yeah. So it will mean there's a delay, but doesn't mean that it has stopped.
Yeah.
So it's a delayed. The moment they delay, the population doubles. The second challenge that is making private schools to be more, and I will use examples in terms of region balance. For example, in Kitengela some 10 years ago was like a bush.
No, it was not like a bush. It was a bush.
Yes. So, to date, when you go and count public schools, there are very few.
Yeah.
Very few.
Population has moved there, the government has not.
So the population moved there, and the government
stayed where it was before.
Yes. So they were running when already the population is there. Now, when you look at regions like Western, private schools are very few.
Yes.
And the best performing schools in Western are public schools.
Yes.
Go to Nyanza, same case.
Yes.
Go to other regions that are well developed. Go to Nakuru, for example. We have got equally best public schools that are competing seriously. So the private schools came in to bridge the gap in the areas that the population came in before the government could realize. And that's why you realize when they were coming to change again the curriculum, in curriculum reforms, they began something new that needed a lot of capitation.
You know, Mwalimu, you're a kind man. And you're thoughtful and thoughtful about your government. The data that the Kenya Bureau of Statistics gathers about everything that we do even gives them information about where people are moving to and how they're moving and the numbers, and they can project. if you have factories coming up in a particular area, the population is going to grow because as people work there, they'll want to also reside there.
Yes.
Okay? Again, if one school comes up, because part of the requirements that the building codes have is when you put up, say, a certain development, say you build houses,
Yes.
part of that development includes schools, even if it's just kindergarten, includes a health facility. These are things which are planned for. I started early on by saying in a time when I was in school, why it was the complete opposite is, I find it daunting that over the years we have rolled back instead of moving forward.
Yes.
Because the thing that we had, which worked well within the public sector, it's the same with the health sector.
Yeah.
Okay? And the question is, education, is it devolved?
Nope.
Okay. It's not devolved. So the people who make those decisions, you think they change very much?
Yeah, they don't change it.
Yes, and the people who actually supposedly implement, do you think they change very much? No, they don't. Because every time you hear of an issue within the education sector, it involves huge amounts of money that have gone where they shouldn't have gone in the first place.
Yeah,
sure.
See? Now, all those things represent that development which should have gone to the public,
Yes,
which
yes.
doesn't get to the public. And it's year in and it's year out.
True.
Yes.
So, for example, now Kitengela International has invested in 3 schools that are offering junior.
Yes, yes.
Right?
3 schools are offering junior secondary.
3 schools offering junior.
Yes.
And this is because of a growing demand.
Yes, yes.
Because people are looking for quality education for their
Yes.
children. Right? So, as a conclusion, again, where are those 3 schools? The main one?
The main one is based in Kitengela, just 5 kilometers from Kitengela town. The second one is at Syokimau, Beijing Road, Syokimau branch. Then Great Walls Garden in Athi River, the Kisk Athi River branch.
And you're the principal of those 3.
I'm the principal at the main school.
You're the Oga at the main
Top.
school.
Yeah.
Okay.
at the main-
Right. John Wanyonyi is the school principal, Kitengela International Junior School. Elphas Omunandi Chisienya is the administrator and curriculum development expert. Now you cut across all.
Yeah.
It's quality. You're the quality assurance person.
Yeah, I work.
Making sure that not the teachers, they're called who?
Facilitators.
Facilitators.
Are well equipped with all the knowledge and skill to deliver this quality education to all
Yeah.
the children.
Sure.
Asanteni sana for joining us. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. Ndu,
Yeah.
again, you're saying this weekend, this holiday season, 300 shillings is what you need.
Exactly.
And it gets Showmax on your mobile device.
Indeed.
And you can watch like Foreplay.
And Black and Blue.
Black and Blue is about cops,
Black and Blue is about cops,
Kenyan cops.
Kenyan cops.
Right.
It's actually quite interesting. You should.
You should watch it. Sawa. So in the next hour, we are going to talk about presidential campaigns. So there's one gentleman who has decided to put it in a gazette notice. Presidential Exploratory Committee.
Yes.
This guy has taken us. Have you ever had anything like that?
Well, I'm hearing it for the first time.
Andrew Okia Omtata Okoiti is our next guest for the next hour. Keep it here for more. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The Situation Room. It's 9 a.m. Time for the news.